Recording. Awesome. Rehab, thanks so much for being here today. This is our Syelo team. We have about, I want to say like 180 members today. Obviously, not everyone can join just because we all have busy work days. We have a really great turnout today. There's 15 folks here. In terms of what happens with this recording, we'll share it out to our members. We meet towards the end of the month to discuss all the pitches that we've seen, and we chat through everything and sort of debrief. So that's what we'll do. I will kind of let you run your own show here. I'll let you present if you have a presentation or screen share.
Sure.
And then at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A from our viewers here. Sound good?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon. Just let me know whenever you can see my screen.
Yep, I can see it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much for the intro. I think that was a great intro. Yes, we are on top of the funnel, and I'm really excited to share with you our platform today. So let me go ahead and start going through the slides. So yeah, I'm Rehab. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Asendia AI. So Asendia AI, think of it as a one-stop shop platform where you can source candidates who actually match the roles that you're hiring for. You can also create job-specific AI interviews and send them to candidates at scale to assess their skills and whether or not they match the role. Now, I want to ask you guys a question here. Have you heard of an AI interviewing tool, or have you tried speaking with the AI within an interview before? Just by a raise of hand, maybe. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So it's getting out there. So basically, for us, almost all of the companies we've spoken with, they have used LinkedIn Recruiter at some point in time, and I'm sure you guys have experienced the tool as well. They mostly use it for sourcing, and most of them were actually very, very frustrated with how bad the matching was, and they kept complaining about how difficult it really was to find the right talent. I remember one person said, I was looking for a full stack engineer with an experience in C#, and she wrote that down in the search, and she ended up finding people whose names started with a C. So you probably know how terrible the matching is, and it's true. Everyone is on LinkedIn, but first, that makes it even harder to find the right people since everyone is there already, and second, even when you do find the people, there isn't really enough data to really decide on whether or not a candidate deserves to be considered aside from their title. So basically what you're going to see once you find a candidate that you think is good, you're going to be assessing their skills based on their resumes or the job titles that they've had in the past. And I don't think that's enough data to really be able to decide whether or not that person is an actual good fit to the role you're hiring for. So what happens is, because of this lack of data, recruiters end up spending most of their time on screening and on manually trying to extract the data that is actually relevant for the role. And that is exactly why, ever since we've started, we believe there should have been a smarter system that fetches more and more relevant data around every candidate. And here we're talking about signals like patterns in a person's career trajectory, their interests, their job aspirations, maybe impacts they've had in their previous roles. And Sarah, our AI recruiter, also assesses technical and behavioral skills, for example, during the AI interview experience. Do they really align with the company's culture, with the role, and so on? And we get the signal by actually tracking the talent's interactions with our platform, as well as their answers to the AI interview they take with Sarah. So right now, our platform is home to over 25,000 candidates who actually come to Asendia to talk to Sarah and to build a profile, a kind of a cohesive profile with a lot more data than you would usually find on them over LinkedIn or any social platform. And with that, we are able to build that in-depth candidate profile that we can really use to match the candidates properly with the roles that to really match their profiles. And the great thing about Sarah is she actually learns and she improves over time with every user interaction that she has. So the more you share with Sarah, the more she knows about you and the better she can match you with the opportunities that do really fit. Now let's see how Sarah works in action. And this is Sarah, by the way, that I'm talking about. It's our AI recruiter. Obviously, she comes on the top of the funnel. She's not meant to replace. It's more like a tool for you to be able to gather more and more data and to focus on the talent that do really matter. And the way it works is if you go to Asendia AI, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to build a context around your company. You're going to share details like the company's values, the company's structure, things about the culture as well. And Sarah will ingest that data, and then she will help you also create job descriptions for every role that you're hiring for. So assuming I'm hiring for a senior data engineer, she takes the context from the company, I share the title with her, and she helps me generate a job description that does actually match the role that I'm hiring for. The second step would be you choosing as a user among 3 different types of AI interviews. So the first one is a dynamic interview where Sarah has the freedom to ask role and company-specific AI questions on the go during the interview. And keep in mind, this is also a candidate unique experience because it also takes the resume of the candidate, and it asks questions about a candidate's past experiences and how they actually relate to the role. And then, of course, you can choose whether to focus on behavioral questions or technical questions, and it's really up to you. Another type of interviews is predefined interview, where you choose a list of questions where you say, okay, I want this to be the exact same experience for every candidate. So you give Sarah a list of questions to ask to all of the candidates who apply for that role. And basically, once this job is created, 2 things happen. A link is generated for you that you can proactively share with candidates, or we push candidates for you, or Sarah pushes candidates from you from the Asendia talent pool, and you can also source out of those 2. This is also connected with the biggest ATS systems in the market. So we're integrated with ATS providers like Greenhouse, Lever, Ashby, Tracker, and basically it can pull all of that data out of the system without you needing to put in a lot of effort into it. Now I'm going to show you really briefly what an AI interview looks like, but this is going to be Buddy, our previous AI recruiter. It used to be called Buddy, but I will show you also later on in the demo how it works within your version.
Hey, Riyab.
Do you not hear the audio?
No, we can't hear anything.
Oh, sorry about that. I think that's probably from Google Meet. It's fine though. I'm going to be doing a demo. Thanks for letting me know though. I will be doing a demo where you should be able to hear that again. So basically, it's a real-time conversation with Sarah where she asks questions related to the role, related to the past experiences, if it's a dynamic interview. And then basically, you can set this AI interview to be sent to candidates at scale. So if you have 500 candidates or 5,000 candidates, you can automate it in a way to be sent to all those candidates with a specific custom email explaining the process. And you're probably wondering how candidates do interact with the AI interview. And since we've managed to get so many candidates over the past months to pitch themselves on our platform, what we've noticed is the messaging is really important. So as long as you share context with the candidate saying, hey, this is just the first interaction, you're going to be able to pitch yourself to get a chance. The sentiment is actually very positive because candidates would like to be given a chance and they would prefer actually being able to pitch themselves even to an AI and to be able to ask maybe questions about the role or the company rather than just like what happens in most cases, because of how many people apply, they end up submitting their application and they don't really hear feedback about the role in many cases. So assuming the candidate did take the interview, there's going to be a candidate profile that's generated. And this is what I was talking about. So you will have a candidate profile score. It will assess not only the skills on their resume, and this is the extra mile or the extra thing that we do here. We assess their answers to actual questions that they've answered in the AI interview. You're going to be able to watch the video interview, to hear the recording. We also have like a psychometric analysis, a detailed breakdown of the interview, and I will show you that in details in the demo as well. And then this is the sourcing agent. So basically, Sarah works as a sourcing agent as well, where you can find talent by typing in a single prompt, like I'm looking for a software engineer with 5 years of experience located in the UK, for example. And you might be wondering, where is this data coming from? So we have two types of talent. We have Asendia certified talent, and these come from the pool that we've gathered over the past months. Like I said, we have over 25,000 tech talents who have been pitching themselves on Asendia and using it proactively to get matched with roles. And we also have public talent, and this is the kind of talent that you would find if you were to source talent over LinkedIn or over any other platform. And you can see here, you can type in the prompt or you can put the job description, and Sarah will take that and she will try to match you with candidates from our talent pool. So this is how it's going to look like. Basically, you start seeing candidates in a specific order. The top candidate is the one who has the highest score, and then you're going to be able to really invest your time in the talents that do really match. This is a snapshot of what the assessment report looks like, and I'm going to show it in the demo as well. You can see here, you'll have an overview with the skills. You're going to have like a recording of the interview they've taken. You're going to see like their education, the interview results, and every other detail that comes with that. And the great thing is, like I said, this is like a one platform where you can actually have a centralized place to see all the roles that you have. You can split it into different departments. You can see the different applicants for every role. This is also the interview link that you can proactively share if you find a candidate outside of the platform. Again, it also is integrated with pretty much any ATS provider that there is on the market. And yeah, this is like a snapshot of how much time you would actually save if you were using the AI recruiter. So basically, this is the manual process, assuming a recruiter would go over 500 applicants, how much time it would take. And you can see it's reduced from almost 90 hours to 8 hours just with the AI recruiter. So basically, this is like a small snapshot of what job seekers are liking about Sarah. And talking to candidates was actually one of the very first things we wanted to work on, because we wanted really to validate that this would really be a great experience for the candidate, because it's only useful if candidates really embrace it and they accept talking to an AI recruiter. So I'm really excited to show you how a demo would look like. And I think also that's always the most fun part. So let me switch my tab and do that. Okay, just a second. Okay. So can you guys see my other tab? Okay, I think it's there. Just a thumbs up will do. Awesome. Thanks, Tony. So this is basically how the platform looks like, and it's a self-service platform, so you guys can also try it out. You can opt in for the free trial and really test the AI interview. You can test it on candidates. You can test out the sourcing tool as well. So if I go to sourcing here, and this is what I'm going to start with, you can type in something like, I'm looking for an engineer in the US with 5 years years of experience. And this is just one of the many prompts that you can actually type in there. You can see here, for example, what skills are actually checked. So if I click here, for example, you're going to see this person. They have 5 years of experience. You can see the skills. You can see the AI interview as well, their work experiences, the interview results. And here, and I really like this part, you can see every question that was asked by the AI, the answer, and then the feedback to every answer. And I think this is one of the features that our customers really love, because they can also get to see Sarah's feedback or the model's feedback on especially technical questions, which really helps them in the decision-making process. So I'm going to try to play the interview, but you let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear it, hopefully?
No, we cannot.
Oh, okay. Let me try again from another tab. I think the problem with Google Meet is that you have to share from the same tab.
I don't know if you're able to, but are you able to take your call out loud so that we can just hear whatever you're hearing?
Yeah, let me try to take off my headphones and see. That's a good idea. Okay, I'm gonna play it again. Okay. Can you hear it now?
I heard something, but then now we can't hear anything.
Okay, I think I have to share it. Just give me a second. I know what.
No worries, take your time.
This happened a couple times on LinkedIn. I'm just gonna mute myself because I'm gonna. Okay.
Degree in machine learning.
There we go.
I'm Sarah from the Asendia team, and I will be your interviewer for today. Are you ready to start?
I'm ready to start.
Great. Let's dive in. To begin, I noticed you have a master's degree in machine learning and signal processing from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Can you share how your education has prepared you for a role in machine learning, particularly in designing and building ML models?
Right. So, as part of getting a master's degree in machine learning and signal processing, I took a number of classes specifically about machine learning and designing models to process data and learn from it. My main library.
That sounds like a solid
my main library.
Seems like your response. Could you elaborate on which specific machine learning libraries you have experience with, particularly in Python? How have you applied them in your projects or coursework?
My main libraries have been PyTorch, scikit-learn, and NumPy.
That's great to hear.
Okay, so I hope you guys were able to hear that without any glitches. That's kind of a small sneak peek. This was, I think, the earliest version of our AI interview. Obviously, over the months, we've had to tweak so many things, like the sensitivity of the model to the response, meaning how much time does the AI need to wait to be able to answer someone, to make it more of a human-like conversational flow. Let me see. Okay. I'm still sharing my screen. So here you can see the interview results. Like I said, this is one of the best features that our customers really love because they get to see the feedback as well. This is when it comes to the sourcing tool. And like I said, you can either do it in a free form where you type in what you're looking for and Sarah pushes the candidates for you, or you can create a specific jobs like you see here. And then you share the link with candidates. So you have active candidates who apply, but also Sarah pushes Asendia certified talents through that role. So basically, if I type in here, you can see the candidates that I do have for this role. I think here it's my co-founder. It was a test job. And you can see how it looks. So it's pretty much the same assessment report. You can see the resume. Let me go to assessment report real quick. We also have like a skills assessment summary. So you can see here how Sarah is assessing both behavioral and technical skills based on the metrics that the recruiter has chosen, skills feedback, cultural fit assessment, psychometric analysis. So for example, we assess speed of response, like how long does the candidate take to answer the questions and so on. This is one part. This is the other part that I mentioned where you create different roles. You also create a company profile. And this is very important because if you create a company profile, you share things like the culture, the benefits, everything that's related to the company that Sarah takes as an input to help you generate the job descriptions, but also the interview questions. You can also import candidates from any other source that you have. You can see here, this is a list of candidates we've imported, and you can also, like I said, integrate with any ATS provider that you want. And the last thing I'm going to say is the way we want this to go, and our next step or our vision for our next phases is basically to have the AI agent, which is Sarah, act proactively side by side with the recruiter. It's something like going into a Slack channel with Sarah and typing in, hey, Sarah, I'm looking to hire a software engineer in New York within a couple of weeks with this salary range, and then Sarah would actually proactively post the job for you. It will create the job description. It will post it on your social channels like LinkedIn or Indeed whatsoever. And then she will also proactively screen the candidates and send you a summary report saying, hey, for this role, after a couple of weeks, these are the candidates that we have. This is the report. How do you want to proceed? And it's going to be basically like a recruiter assistant that helps you with the entire process and saves you a lot of time. So I think I'm over time with the presentation, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I'm really excited to hear your questions.
Yeah, we have a full hour booked out, so if you have any more of this demo that you want to show us, that's fine, but also we can have folks jump in with questions. Bukala, do you have a question, or do you just still have your hand up from earlier?
I didn't have a question at the time, but yeah, I'll let other people talk once.
Okay, no worries. Any questions at all? Any comments?
Maybe someone who has already used LinkedIn Recruiter can start by sharing maybe their experience with it and how that was. I think that would open up a lot of room for questions.
I actually have a question. Sorry, I didn't want to bombard. I'm always the person that. So, yeah. So you mentioned that that candidates would prefer to have an AI, interviewer versus going into a black hole and not. Do you have any statistics to back that up? Because my experience, my personal experience is typically people don't like talking to AI. That's just my experience. I'm not questioning it. I'm just that's a very interesting point you brought up.
I think it's a great question. It's actually one of the kind of resistant points that we've gotten when we started last year, when conversational AI wasn't even a thing, and we started talking to companies, and they were like very unwilling to think that candidates would actually be willing to talk to an AI. that's why we started the B2C platform, where we said, okay, we also want to be a platform where candidates go in there and pitch themselves. And like I said, right now we have over 25,000 candidates who come in. But then again, you could say that isn't really like the most relevant piece of data or input of data, because these are candidates that we brought to the platform. So I'm happy to share also what candidates from our customers, and here we're talking about companies who are using our platform to interview their inbound candidates and candidates that they source themselves. So what we've noticed from the companies that we've been working with, the rate of the candidates who actually click and go through the AI interview experience is over 75%, which to me is actually really huge. And we've noticed with some experimentation, initially it wasn't really that high, but then the more we curate the messaging, the more we make it clear that this is the first step of an entire process. This is just like an opportunity for you to pitch yourself as a start, to get more insights so that the recruitment team can actually take that and decide whether or not they want to move into the next stage with you, which is the human stage, by talking either to the recruiter or to the hiring manager or to someone from the team. People were actually very willing to go through with the process. And we've noticed that a lot of those people as well, they were going to Asendia AI to create profiles on Asendia AI as well, because they've had a positive experience with the interview.
Thank you. Appreciate
Sure.
that response.
And maybe if anyone has heard of an AI platform or has tried an AI platform, can tell us maybe how their experience was, or maybe when they heard of it, what was your first kind of impression? Was it like, no, it's an AI tool, this is not something I'm gonna think about using, or was it more like on the positive side?
Go ahead, Brett.
Hey, thanks for coming to me. So I had a question. I was watching your demo, and it seemed like it was sort of an older version, especially the interview part. That there was a couple of hiccups. It was kind of starting before the person has stopped asking. And I was kind of curious if you have a more recent example, because I know from my experience in evaluating various sort of AI products, connecting on that sort of realism seems to be what we're sort of waiting for. That sort of AI where it almost doesn't seem like an AI, it seems like a real person. And I've actually experienced a few different AIs that were remarkably similar to some of the challenges you might have been facing when you had recorded that sort of campaign. And I think that's been sort of a detriment to kind of exploring some of those things a little bit more, because it lacked that sort of realism in it. So do you have
absolutely. I think like being able to perfect the interview experience to an extent was definitely one of our biggest pieces of focus over the past months. When it started, it was far from perfect. It would interrupt the person, it would lag sometimes, and then we really invested a lot of time and effort into the product. And it's safe to say right now that is one of the best tools out there when it comes to how realistic and how interactive it is, because we've also tested a lot of products from other companies who are doing conversational AI, whether that be competitors or people using it at sales and so on. So I'm happy to send you guys the link maybe after the call, and you could try it out yourselves. So you would click on the link, you would talk to the AI, and I think that would be the best way to try it, because you can watch it all you want, but you have to really go through the experience to really feel how it works. So yeah, if that works for you guys, happy to send a link after the call for you to test it.
No, absolutely. That'd be great. And just a question, why wouldn't you, and this is just kind of just me thinking out loud, why wouldn't you update your presentation to kind of include a more recent, less sort of challenged version of that AI interaction instead of an older version? Because I think, if I wouldn't have raised my hand and asked about, what does it sound like now, and assumed that what you showed in your presentation was what it sounded like now, it would sort of been like a hard stop on my end, just because it's so similar to other ones that I've seen, and kind of lacks that realism. Why not update the presentation with a sort of a more interactive that kind of shows the latest and greatest of what you guys are putting out there?
I mean, you're absolutely right. I think the only reason that we haven't done that yet, Okay, let me show you another candidate then. The only reason we haven't done that is the examples we have are not really our examples. So these are from people from our tool, and we didn't really want to take a screenshot of someone on the platform and put it on the slide. So we're gonna kind of have to film something else. But I can show you maybe another candidate who looks really happy on the AI interview. So let me see if I can fetch that. Like I said, we have a really positive sentiment when it comes to the people who take the AI interview. Obviously, you're going to find some people who talk to an AI for the first time. So when you look at their facial expression, it's going to be either like maybe a surprise expression or maybe like who am I talking with, right? But overall, in general, I would say it's a pretty positive sentiment. Let me see if I can find someone else.
Thank you.
Maybe in the meantime, I can get another question. Let me try and see.
I don't really have a question. I kind of reiterated what Brett said. That's been, my experience. And then also just to answer your question, with other AI tools. I work for a consulting firm, and we have VMS systems that actually have some of those tied into their pre-screening process, where they're actually talking to an AI interviewer. I mean, you have a good, there's an opportunity for you, because just quite frankly, it's a very frustrating experience for some of the consultants that we put through that. So, there's an opportunity for you there, definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much. No, absolutely. And I think maybe I would like to hear from you guys, maybe also like from the talent acquisition perspective, if you're looking for candidates, how useful do you think it would be to see like really an entire candidate profile with the recording of the interview? And keep in mind, this is something that's really starting to get noticed by candidates as well. So the concept of an AI interview is not really as strange as it was maybe a few months ago, and it's going to continue to spread, and it's going to continue to evolve as we see a lot of companies adopt these AI interview technologies, whether that be for the screening or the sourcing and so on. So I think it would be useful for the recruitment teams, but I want to hear it from you as well. How important do you think it is, given your experience with other platforms like LinkedIn Recruiter, to have that entire detailed profile with all those data points around a candidate profile?
Hey, this is Andy. So I guess one of my hesitations is, there's a ton of data on that screen. So you can see, obviously the recording of the interview, you can see the transcript of the notes, the scoring, or other things that the AI is doing. My question kind of comes back to, is it better that I spend 30 minutes like really reading and thinking through all of the notes that the AI took, or is it better that I spend 30 minutes talking to that candidate myself? I'm just not sure, like, is the goal just to save time, or is the goal to give all candidates an option to interview with an AI? I guess that's my thought just around like, what's the trade-off here in the process?
No, absolutely. I think the best use case for using such an AI interview is basically if we're talking about roles where you have a rather larger number of candidates, like assuming you post a role, you have like 100 or 200 or 500 candidates, that it's not really possible to go through them manually, and it gets really hard. But also being able to gather that data that is far beyond what you would usually see if you were to check their resumes or their LinkedIn pages. And the thing that we're using, the thing that we're seeing, what our customers are aiming for is, once they use the sourcing tool to find the right candidates, they want to be able to assess those candidates at scale. And that's one of the features we're integrating right now. So being able, let's say you're looking for a specific candidate, like a software engineer with a specific skill set, you go into the sourcing, you look for talents, and you find 500 people who really match. You're going to be able to create a sequence and send them an email with the AI interview link to be able to really, first, you check their interest, and then second, you're able to assess their skills before even deciding who you want to talk to. Does that make more sense, or do you see it makes a bit more sense?
Yeah, I think what's kind of some of the messages in the chat right now make a lot of sense with just thinking of this as like this is just an extra step to your application or expanding your resume out. I think then you have to have a really solid trust that your AI results are as accurate as possible, because then you would use that to filter resumes further. But yeah, it's an interesting tool. I've seen a few of these on the market so far. But thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for asking. I'm trying to see also like the comments in the chat. Yeah, Brett, go for it.
I'll add just a little bit to the comments that I put in chat. In my opinion, I think that the value is not on sort of sourcing and screening non-active or passive talent. I think the play here is possibly making the interview process very, very inclusive to the people who apply, especially in a market where you're dealing with volume. We might have 1,000 people apply. I think that if the messaging is, this is our first step, and this gives you an opportunity to be seen beyond your resume and heard and evaluated on equal grounds, regardless of you have an amazing looking resume or a poorly formatted resume. We want to get to know you behind the resume, and this will make sure you're seen and heard. And there's that message of sort of inclusivity. I think there could be a huge value play there if, and I forget who was just saying this, but I fully agree. So forgive me for not remembering who was just speaking. If the AI was also able to kind of take those consistent questions and answers and distill them down so that it can produce an accurate ranking of the candidates that are most aligned to what the recruiter or the business is looking for, thus giving the candidates much more of an inclusive process to be seen and evaluated, and saving the recruiters a bit of time, because instead of looking through 1,000 resumes and burning the retinas out, they could be said, the AI could say, hey, here are the top 50 and based on these qualifications, and this is why. I think that could be a huge value on both sides of the coin.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I think that was like our initial starting point, and that was our initial goal also when we started with this. And I wanted also like to maybe get your input, since you guys are have like a really good experience in the space, is the sourcing bit, which we actually recently introduced simply because, like I said, the more we started talking to companies, the more we realized sourcing was an additional issue that they had to deal with, regardless of how many candidates. They would post roles on LinkedIn, they would get hundreds of candidates, but then again, for some specific roles, they still had to source for candidates themselves. And for that, LinkedIn Recruiter was not really much useful tool, that they've ended up like wasting so much time to really find the right people. And here I want to ask you guys, was this also the same experience for you? Did you also try to find other tools, regardless of like positions with volume right now when it comes to sourcing? Did you struggle with LinkedIn Recruiter, and did you try to look for other tools where it's more easy to find the talents that you're looking for?
I think there are already so many tools out there for sourcing right now that I mean, you're going to be a drop in an ocean going that direction, because they're already polished and put together and doing what we need them to do. For example, like Endorsed AI, we've been using Endorsed for months, and it's great. It's very in depth. But to try and focus on that and on the AI interview piece and on building these, I feel like that's just a lot for one platform to try and do all of those things well, especially if somebody's already using a really great sourcing tool. I wouldn't need this to source for me, but I would need it for a high volume SDR role where I have 1,000 applicants, and being able to get more in-depth information on their experience would be useful.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, so I've used a couple of different AI tools, and it is one, it works best on high volume roles. I had a very successful campaign with screening interns for 6 internship openings, and it worked great. I didn't get too much pushback. Everybody completed it. They loved it. It helped them save time. The hiring managers love having the scorecards and stuff to review. When it comes to passive outreach, I haven't been too successful, nor have I tried to reach out to someone to say, hey, I think you're a great fit now, take this AI interview. I personally, I just don't think that's a good selling point when I'm still in the process of trying to get them interested in the role. And honestly, I need to share more about the position, about the opportunity, and like I'm still in selling mode. And so kind of getting them to sit through an AI interview isn't kind of in my own best interest. When I've tried to use it on like mid-level management positions or more like senior IC roles, I'm the individuals I send it out to, I may get around like 25 to 30% people to complete it. And then those people that I'm interested in, I have to follow up and usually set some time. But in an effort to save my own time, I try to send them like an AI interview screen first. I just understand that I'm probably going to end up having to schedule a call. So I'm like you, I'm trying to solve this problem between like finding qualified candidates, saving my own time, and having a good candidate experience. It is just kind of tough. And I have had several people push back, especially the more senior they are, and just almost took it as like an insult that I would ask them to take an AI interview, almost in a sense of feeling
No,
disrespected.
absolutely.
like if you want me to work for you, at least take the time to talk to me, type of thing. And so it's still, everybody's not kind of bought in just yet, but it does. Like I say, the internship was a great data point. They're younger. I think they were very open to it. Just kind of felt like this is part of the process, so they didn't ask a lot of questions. So I'm trying to kind of take some of those learnings, and I do I try to give a lot of reasons when I send someone an AI interview why this is in their own best interest, with timing being a big one. Whereas we don't have to schedule something next Friday. You can take this, whenever you have the time to do so, and we can move things forward that way.
No, absolutely. I think that we've also seen this from our customers as well. I think the sweet spot for really getting a good ROI on the AI interviews is going like from junior, I would say, to mid-level. Here, when we talk about maybe like engineering roles, sales roles, usually when you aim for higher roles like a VP of sales or something, it doesn't really make any sense to send them an AI interview. But I think also when it comes to the sourcing, what we're seeing, a lot of the people who are using the platform, they are finding the right talent that they want to reach out to, and they are able to create a sequence where they're able to send these customized emails as well that they usually also send on their own. So it's like Apollo. Maybe you've heard of the platform before. It's a very similar concept that companies use for sales. So you find your prospects, you try to curate the sequence where, for example, you send them a LinkedIn connection, you send them an email, you send them a follow-up email in a sequence. And yeah, it's a way to automate that as well outside of the AI interviews.
I have like questions / thoughts. I think as recruiters, we're always trying to strike a balance between the recruiting process being half a sales process, but also half an interview process. Like, we're not only vetting these people, also I would say 90% of the time we're trying to convince them to come work for us. So it's a two-way process. And I think for roles where you can mostly tell upfront that the person you're interviewing is going to be at least, like, from a surface level or technical skills perspective, they're going to be qualified. What the recruiting process is actually more important for is selling them. Like, we know this person's great. We're not interviewing them to like necessarily figure out if they're qualified. We're interviewing them to give them a sense of what it would be like to work here. And I quite frankly don't think that this product is an amazing fit for those types of candidates, because the higher the bar is for that type of role, the less traction you're going to get. I think if this tool had some functionality where it like sits on top of the ATS and is something that, you know, you have a role, let's say like staff engineer, that gets 1,000 applicants when you first open it, but maybe only 8 of those applicants are qualified. If it could, like, if you had something to surface, who are the 50 most qualified applicants from this stack, and then start the process with an AI interviewer that way. But I think like the problem that I see most often, especially because most of my recruiting work is for very, very small brands where like they don't have a reputation yet. The challenge in the very top of the funnel is getting people interested. And I feel like if you are going to put an AI interviewer at the very top of the funnel, like how many steps can you add in before this very qualified candidate gets to speak to a technical leader or a founder or whatever it is? The other thought I have is just like, maybe this is a really great tool for, you know, high volume, less technical positions where like maybe this is the tool that we use when we're hiring like very junior, you know, customer success reps or SDRs or something like that, or even like non-technical like labor roles. Like maybe this is, you know, factory workers or linemen or more like trade related work that they can use to highlight that. So I guess my question is then, do you have any data on like who the ideal profile is that is going to be receptive to a tool like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think both points are really important. So to address your first point on how this would probably add another layer to the application process, the entire flow from the candidate's perspective is very simple. So instead of them like going into the job application page and like filing in manually all that kind of data that they usually do, like upload your resume and put in all that kind of data, like email, name, everything else that comes with a job application. Now all they have to do really is just upload a resume and take the 20-minute AI interview. They don't have to do anything else. And this is one of the things that we've been hearing from candidates who have been taking these interviews with our customers, is that they really like how fast the application process really is versus how it was by filling in all these like mandatory stuff that they usually do. So the application process from the candidate side is a lot more seamless, and it's a lot more easy. And they also get a chance to ask all their questions during that first interaction. To the second point, the tool has actually been the most successful with technical talent. You might find that surprising. I do think it makes sense to think of it more of a tool to maybe blue collar workers, which is also a good use case. But what we've seen in the past is that for blue collar workers, they don't really take it that well because we're talking about a specific age range. We're talking about maybe people who aren't necessarily used to using this kind of technology. And what we've noticed is we've been working with many enterprise companies, including banks, including big staffing agencies who hire tech talent for their customers. And we've been seeing a lot of success when it comes to interviewing technical talent, simply because they are up to date with how the technology is going. They are intrigued to test it out. And they know it's just like that first application process, similar to just like submitting your resume. It's not meant to replace. It doesn't really kind of dehumanize the experience in a way. And again, we're not talking about VP level roles. We're talking about like junior to mid-level. And I think it's been going really well in terms of adoption when we talk about technical talents. And this is from the actual customers we're working with.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense, and I can totally see that. In terms of like the flow of the interview, like how this is presented to candidates, my thoughts on that are that like sometimes when I was on a job search last year. When I'm job searching, it's like something I'm doing from my phone, scrolling on the couch, often like filling out as many applications as possible. I'm not necessarily like ready to get up and give like a impromptu video interview at that time. Is there a situation where a potential customer from the recruiting side could set it up so that like, yes, you meet the minimum qualifications. We're going to send you a link now do this whenever you want. Your application is submitted,
Mhm.
but we need you to complete this before we can engage, so that they can come back to it later. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually how it works. So if let's imagine you're using a specific ATS system. So if you choose a set of candidates that you want to send the AI interview to, you move them to the Asendia AI stage. You will have already customized the email template that they will get. And all of those candidates that you've moved to that stage, they get an email explaining the process, explaining that they've been shortlisted, and they get a link for the AI interview, explaining the flow of the interview as well, so that they're a bit prepared. And then usually recruiters put in a time frame. So they say this link is going to be valid, for example, for the next 72 hours. You probably should take it within the time. And then we have this feature where the link becomes invalid after that time frame. So the candidate can take the interview within that time frame whenever they feel ready and comfortable to take the interview.
Perfect. That makes so much sense. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much for the questions. And really excited to share the link with you guys. I know this is kind of new still, but I'm really sure you're going to like the experience because it's a new experience. I will set it up to a talent acquisition leader role so that it's a bit interesting to talk to the AI. And yeah, I really hope you guys like it.
Awesome. Does anybody have any last comments or any final thoughts?
Yeah, I had one.
Okay.
Just trying to think of a way to sort of differentiate all these different AI tools, perhaps creating some sort of a almost like an open, talent community or something like that, to where like to incentivize someone to want to take this AI interview, to where even if they don't move forward with whatever that particular company is, that AI interview is stored in a way that other companies can maybe surface that interview and reach out to them, if that makes sense. So almost like crowdsourcing the interview process. Again, like I'm just trying to think of ways to where I know this probably is going to work great for high volume roles. I hate to say low skill talent, but we do want to start to capture engineers, more senior technical talent. So if company A gave them an interview and they weren't the right fit, company CDE may be able to do a filter search for individuals and see that person already has an AI interview attached with their resume that they can go through, and they may feel like that person's the perfect fit. Again, just trying to think of ways that would incentivize candidates to want to engage in this more, because on the recruiter side, it saves us time. Like, we love it. Like, I didn't have to schedule a 30, 45-minute call. But to the candidates, like, I have to take the time anyway. So how can I get more out of this experience?
That's a great point, and that's why we thought, okay, we want to leverage this to build a talent pool of our own as well. And that's why when you go to the sourcing tool, you find Asendia certified talents, meaning that we've started building this platform where candidates come in and pitch themselves once, and then all the recruiters that are using Asendia to find talents, they're going to be able to see that profile if it matches what they're looking for. So that's been a really good incentive for the talents when it comes to why would I want to build a profile? Why would I want to talk to an AI on Asendia? It's simply because you're able to build this curated profile that will be pushed toward any recruiter that is using the tool, whether that be big companies that we're currently working with, or when it comes to the individual users that are using it to source candidates. That's been a great motive. And I think that's actually one of our biggest differentiators when it comes to the competitors that you would see right now on the market that are using conversational AI. Most of them are only focusing on the conversational AI feature, and they're using it to solve the single problem of high volume hiring. Whereas for us, we're trying to also build this engine where we match both talents and recruiters, and you come into this place to be able to source for candidates, and you come into Asendia to be able to get matched with opportunities. But it's also this platform that you put on top of your ATS to qualify inbound candidates at scale. So I know it's a little bit, it's quite a few things in the same platform, but once you use it, it does feel more of an entire flow.
Okay, Thank you. Yeah, maybe I missed that in the beginning. So are you able, so when a company has that, are those individuals who applied to the roles that that company has hired for, are they now like quote unquote property of Asendia as well? Like, are they now within the platform to be sourced by other companies that use the platform? Is that the way it also works? Do they have to opt in to be shared within the community?
No, not really. It doesn't really work that way. So basically, if a company is using Asendia to interview candidates, the data is the property of the company. That those candidates do not belong to us. But on the other hand, we have a public platform where candidates come to Asendia to create a profile, and that's basically where you have the opportunity to get featured on our sourcing tool. But if you're a company, you're working with us, you're using the AI interview feature to interview your candidates, that data is exclusively yours.
Okay. So it's kind of like a hybrid of ideas of what I was thinking. Gotcha. Well, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate all of the
Thank you so much,
clarification.
Nate. No, appreciate the questions. Thank you so much.
I have a quick recommendation on that last point that you made. I worked with a tech screening platform once, similar to HackerRank. That either way, they got sold off, but they had a really unique model, whereas they allowed people to post roles for free, and basically once you rejected a candidate, it then offered the candidate the ability to join the general, the general platform and be open to other companies reaching out or being promoted to other companies. And I thought from a kind of a giving back standpoint, that was really, really awesome. It was a great way to say, hey, come take this technical exam. If you do well, we'll chat to you. If not, you'll be included in the entire platform and open up other potential opportunities from the analysis that we're conducting from a technical standpoint. So
no, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So on the sourcing piece, when you do a source on the platform, besides for candidates who have expressly registered with you, where else is it pulling potential candidates from?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we have two types of candidates. We have the Asendia certified who proactively come into Asendia and they build their own profile by talking to Sarah. And then we have the public talent. And these are talents that we have gotten from, I think at this point, over 4,000 open source databases. So this is the sort of talent that you would usually find on LinkedIn or GitHub if it's a technical talent. And that's where we've been kind of collecting those candidate profiles, and it's a continuous work. So it's something that we continue to improve.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we are a little bit over time. Everyone can feel free to connect with Riyab on this in general. Typically, we would take a poll at the end of our call to see like who would be interested in Syelo like funding Asendia. We've had a couple people drop off. But I mean, of the people who are here, is there anyone who would be interested in us pursuing a second conversation with this, or considering this as a potential option? Feel free to sound off in the chat. Thanks, Bukla. Awesome. Well, we'll chat about this internally, Riyab, but if you have any questions for us, let us know afterward. Feel free to email us, and we'll go ahead and end it here. Thanks so much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your time. I'll make sure to send you that link to the interview. And thank you for your time. It was so nice chatting with you all.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for being here. And
thank you guys. Bye.
Next future. Bye.
Bye.